Alright, so today's question of the day comes from future Sailor Thompson asking me about what was my experience going from my final visit at MEPS to my ship out, so my ship out date. So I remember waking up at 0500 in the morning and I had my final breakfast with my family. And after that, my family left to work and I shaved my head off. If you haven't seen that video, link down in the description to that video. And then, my ship out time wasn't until much later. Now, keep in mind that depending on where you live, you might leave a lot earlier than I did, right? I live in Pennsylvania. It's fairly close to Illinois. So, I didn't need to leave very early on. And so, towards lunchtime, I had to be there at my recruiting office by 1300, right, which is 1 p.m. So I arrived, and then I didn't need to leave until 1500, so 2 hours later. And so I went. My mother came, and then we had lunch for the final time. And then I shipped out. I went to MEPS, and then during MEPS, they give you a brief of what is expected of you when you visit the airport. You can visit the USO, and the USO, they're going to explain to you what it is. But what it is in a brief, basically any military personnel that is traveling, right, can use this facility, right? It's also commonly in airports where they might have free internet access, computer, a place for you to sleep, free food, and stuff like that. So they also give you a meal voucher, and I believe, if I can remember correctly, it's $23. So it's a $23. It's like a little check, a government check, and not a lot of stores accept it. Some restaurants accept it in the airport, so you have to be careful with where you eat. And when you leave, right? I left with a group of people, so it was right about 6 people total, and within the group there's a group leader, right? And a funny story on a side note: the group leader, if you have seen my "Don't Masturbate in Boot Camp" video, that's the guy who was leading the group. And on a side note, within the group there was another guy, we'll call him C, and C and that guy, the group leader who masturbated, went to MEPS together initially for the first time for ASVAB, and they slept over at MEPS. Even then, C was telling me that that guy masturbated at the hotel at MEPS. So that guy didn't have self-control. But anyway, so when you are with your group, you have your medical record. When you are heading over to the when you are at the airport heading over to Illinois, you take your plane ride, and then you head over. You arrive at Illinois, and so when you arrive, right, I'm going to give you some advice. Take your time, okay? Take your time. Enjoy the final moments that you have of, quote unquote, freedom, right? That you can enjoy being a civilian, technically, and so take the time to talk to your family. So if you can have access to a cell phone, if a person in the group has a cell phone, call your parents for the one last time. And also, let's say if there's a payphone, use the payphone, call your family, and visit the USO, right? Visit the USO, get some free food, get some food, any food that you want to eat, because you're not going to be able to eat food that you want for the next 2 months when you're in boot camp. And so after that, right, the moment where it really begins is when you meet up with the petty officers that are there to pick you up. They're within a certain location within the airport. I forgot exactly which airport it was, but it's a huge, huge airport. So they are within a certain location that's pretty secluded. Not a lot of people transit through there, and take your time to go there, because within my observation, right, when I first went there, I went, my group and I stuck together and we went, and it turns out the group, we were all in the same division except for the two females. Females are there's a lot less, so, but the males all stuck together. But the thing that I noticed is it depends your division. Okay, your division depends on how people arrive to the airport and check in with the petty officers. Okay, so for example, let's say there's 100 people in a division, right? The first 100 people that come in and check in with the petty officers and leave with the bus are likely to be within the same division. Okay, whereas let's say 100 people come in at 1 p.m. and then 5 hours later, after that first initial group leaves, another 100 people come in. Now their division isn't already pre-made. Okay, it's like basically first come first serve basis in my observation and in my opinion from my conclusion. Okay, so take your time, talk to your family, and then head to boot camp to enjoy your final moments. All right, so that was personally from my experience and my best recommendation to you. All right, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great Navy Day, guys.